Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Handmade with Love by Ying. I go by Donna. You're in Ying's sewing room right now, and welcome. If you like my content, please hit the like button, subscribe for notifications, and ring that bell, and I greatly appreciate it. Today I'm just giving my baby lock, Jazz 2, a spa day. As we all know how precious our equipment is. If you don't take care of it, it's not going to take care of you on your projects. So I'm going to walk you through just what I do on mine, and it's little tips and tricks that I've learned. I've read my manual from front to back, and I pretty much just really baby her. She's been a workhorse now for a little over a year and a half, and I take good care of her, and she's not had to go into the shop because you can do your maintenance on your own, and that's what I'm choosing to do at this time. If something would go bad, I would put her in the shop, but for right now, this works, and my savings allows me to work on other projects. So as long as she's working good for me, I'm happy. So the first thing that I honestly do when I'm doing my spa day is erase my lid. And I honestly, you get a little bit of dust or a little bit of your, I call it dust. And I make sure my brush is clean. And I just come through. And I just make sure that I'm picking up any dust that there could be. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Every time I'm in between projects, I always give it a good spa day. And then if I'm winding bobbins, as soon as I'm finished my bobbin winding, I automatically, definitely, because you're going to get a lot of that lint. And as you can see here, I got quite a bit just from the top. And this machine was just maintenanced a week ago. I do her every Saturday or in between projects. If I'm doing a lot of sewing, she gets a real good deep clean. So I go ahead and unthread her. I just nip my thread because I'm going to walk back through that here in a minute. And I go ahead and just pull my thread out. It was just here, and I unthread my needle. So that goes down to my little scrap pile. Get where my thread is. I go ahead and clean that out as well. And like I said, there's always a little bit of lint, and the best thing to do is keep it out of your machine. Now I've cleaned that out, and there's nothing left. But I always give it a little good blow just to make sure that there's nothing lingering. Then I set myself up a little white pad, and it's just scrap fabric, and I make sure that I clean my lint off. Whatever I wasn't able to just go like this, I make sure my brush is clean. The next thing I do is I'll put my lid down, and I go ahead and turn it on so it'll give me a little bit more light. I take my foot off of my machine, and I bring it over here, and I also clean it out really well because, believe it or not, you do get lint down in your little pressure foot. I roll her over, and I just give her a good cleaning. I have one pad for my clean, so she's clean, so she's going over there. The next thing I do is I pop my needle because I don't want to get gouged, and if I'm cleaning my machine, it's time for me to take my needle. So I just give it a little twist, and I take my needle, and I always just put it over with my clean stuff, but I want to jab it so it doesn't stick anywhere or anyone. Then I take my bobbin out, and I take this section. It's clean, it's going to lay there. So I go ahead and pull my bobbin, and I just wind my thread on it, so it's going to be really easy, and that's going to the clean pile. I have all of my feet and everything in a box, and each one is marked what's in each compartment. So my tools for my machine is here. So I loosen my screws. You have 2 screws on your top plate, and I get them just loose like that, and then I take my finger and just wind them out. At this point, this screw is going to come over here because it's going to go in the dirty one because I haven't cleaned that screw off. And believe it or not, you do get lint on your screws. So get that going. Not enough yet. And I just twirl her out. Now that I've got both screws, I'm going to lay my little tiny screwdriver down, because as you're sewing, the lint's going to get down in that as well. So now my screw's going to my clean pile. I'm going to grab this one and give it a good cleaning. And it's going into my clean pile. I'm going to take my plate off, and as you can see, she's really dirty right now. And I'm going to get myself in here and really give her a good cleaning. When you're doing this, it's a good time to check for your kick plate to make sure that you don't have any spurs on it, because if you do, that's going to make your thread breaks. It's going to catch on your fabric. You're going to get irritated, and you're going to be like, what's going on? And you're going to have to take her into the shop. I found out by watching Tiffany's Quilting Life that she also does her maintenance on her own. And I had a spur that was driving me crazy. I didn't know that's what it was at the time. I was getting ready to take her in to find out what was going on. And she used a file and just got rid of it. I did the same thing, and now I have no issues. I didn't distort my numbers, didn't distort my sewing lines or anything. But now this part's clean. So she's going over in the clean pile. Now I'm going to take out my bobbin case, and she's quite dirty, and like I said, I do my maintenance every Saturday on her. And I just give this one a good brushing. Make sure everything's out, and then I do the flip over and do the same thing. And I just go along the edge, because the more you can keep out of your machine, the better your machine will operate. So this part's cleaned. So she's going over here. So now the next thing that I personally do, just let me move these out of the way, is I go gently, and I mean gently, with my seam picker. I have my good one I use on my fabric, and I have my old one. You have your 3 plates here, and I just go really gentle and I clean those out, because you're going to have fabric and lint that's going to lay in these. I don't want that going back down in my machine, so I just gently push it out and pick it up. And to see what I'm about to get out of this machine, you would not think that I do my maintenance. But like I said, I do quite a bit of sewing. I change my needle every time I get 6 bobbins in. I change my needle unless something happens and it bends or something. So my machine is very, very well taken care of. But like I said, you're about to see, it doesn't quite look like it, because it is quite linty. I don't know if it comes from the fabric, different lines that I'm using, but this is just one go around in the bobbin casing. I don't like to use the air and blow dry air down in my machine, because eventually it's going to get packed up in there, and you definitely don't want that. That's going to cause a lot of mechanical issues, and it's going to be going into the shop, because you're not going to know what's going on, whether jump time or what. So I just gently get down in anywhere I can reach easily. I just give it a just a little dab, trying to pick up any lint, any of the little dust bunnies. It's kind of like if you're dusting your house, you're just on the inside of the machine. And I go around real gentle, and I take the brush, because there's nothing on this corner, and I just go really gentle and try to bring up any little dust bunnies that's down in there. Then I have one more little brush I use, this one here, And that just goes down in where I don't feel comfortable sticking the bigger brush, and I just run it really easy along where I can pick up only what I can see. If I can't see it, I'm not touching it. So I go along the bottom, and I just go right here, and here's the little dust bunnies. They like to hide away. And I go down here along this edge, and I just like to pick up, like I said, anything that's in view. I'm not hurting my machine. I don't see anything else. Give it a little blow just to make sure I don't see anything moving. Gonna go one more time because I think I have a little dab there. I don't see any. I do not see anything hanging out that needs to have my attention this week. Make sure that I've got everything dusted. One more little quick blow. And that is it for the inside of my machine. Now I give it a little bit of oil. And I do this every time I do my maintenance. I give it just one nice drop right where your bobbin casing is. And then my brush, I put a little dab on it. And that's just in case there's any more little lint bunnies. All these mechanical parts that are just sitting here, they have their own oil. But I like to keep everything greased. So I just give it a little dusting one last time because it's going to pick up anything that you could not get. Give it a little blow and you lay your brush down. That little dab of oil on your brush is like it's like a little magnetic. It'll pick up any little tidbits of lint that you can't get. So now my machine has been oiled. Put my lid back on my oil. And then now we just go in reverse and put her back together. So I double check, make sure there's no error, no issues. And I've had no issues with my sewing. So just get her in. And she's quite wiggly. Spin here just a little dab to get her in right. And she will sit on her own. And now she's in. I just do this a couple times just to make sure she's not budging or moving. Alright, now we're going to put our top back on. Make sure we got her lined up good. And you don't want to force her. If she's not going, you give her a little wiggle. I start with my front screw and I just get it to where it's starting. You don't want to over tighten because that's going to cause your machine to have issues. Then I'll put this one in. And I finger tighten her as soon as I can get her to go. Really simple. Just a little bit of love in there. And I'm comfortable there. I'm not forcing it. I'm just getting it not even real tight, just a little snug. Check my plate. It's level with the machine. Everything looks good. So now I put my foot back on. My foot's in place. Everything looks good. So before I do anything here, I'm not going to put anything down in now. My machine is back together. I put my bobbin case cover on. I just about get upside down here and I just wipe everything down here to make sure nothing's going inside. And I just want to give her a good dusting. As you can see, my machine is dusty right here. So I'm going to push this back up. Alright. So I've got her done there. Trying to get the arm to come down because I want to make sure I've got it all well maintained. And doing it this way, you're not allowing that dust to come down into your machine. You could do this first, but I choose to do it last. That way I'm just making sure everything, including my light box, is dusted. So now I'm just going to take my hand and come around and get all this dust and put it there. Make sure I have it all. Feel all my parts. Everything looks good. So I've got my kick plate on. Dust, if there was any, I wanted it to blow off of my machine. I'm going to open up my bobbin casing one more time. It's relatively half a bobbin, but it's good enough for me to continue sewing. So I'm going to put the bobbin in. I'm going to go left to right, hook it in the notch, and bring it around. Now she is threaded. I do use the seam guide tape. Keeps me in line on what I'm doing. Sometimes it'll peel up, sometimes it won't. If it does start to peel up, it's not really expensive. I ordered it online and got that. So now it's time to thread our machine. I've got almost half of a big bobbin. So I'm going to come down through the eyelet. I'm going to come around here and make sure that I'm under my plate. I'm going to hit line number 2, come back up through 3 and hook in the hook. Bring it down. You're going to have 2 hooks here. And now she's ready for me to put my needle in. I do want to change my needle. And I use really good needles. I use the Smith because that's what I prefer. And I've just got to get my needle, let me have it out. So I'm going to lay that needle there, and then I take my used needles and I put them in my pack upside down so I know it's a bad needle. I've already used it. It's not broke. If I'd get in a pinch, I could pull it out and use it, but I've never had to do that. So now you're going to feel for the back of your needle. You've got your flat spot. I'm going to pull my thread out of the way. I'm going to put down my foot, and I'm going to find my hole and put my needle in. I'm going to get her in until she wiggles, and the wiggling stops, and I'm going to just finger tighten her. Make sure your needle has the eye facing you, and I just give her a wee little bit tighter than my finger, but not extremely tight. Put my tool away and snap her shut. Then now I'm ready to thread my needle. All I gotta do is do this. I pull my needle up as far as I can. I can use my Insta threader, but I used it a couple times and it works great, but I just got in the habit of hand threading and I prefer to do that. I pull my thread to the back of the machine, wind down to catch my bobbin. Then I use just this to pull my bobbin thread over, and it's out. And I just give it a gentle tug so I make sure everything's out the way it needs to be. And anytime I did any maintenance, I always just pull this out, hold on to it for just a second, grab a piece of fabric and slide under it, and give it a test run. Listen for her in case you mess something up or she's not threaded right. And you just check your stitches. So then I snip off here, leaving it as is, and my stitches look amazing. So that is it for my maintenance for this week on my Baby Lock Jazz. If you don't have one or interested, you can contact them on their website. This is not by any means a sponsored video. It's just I love my Baby Lock. I have my Baby Lock Jazz 2. I have my Tiara. And I just favor the Baby Lock machines. They are so easy to maintain, so easy to work with, and I just really think it makes the sewing experience for me a little bit easier and a little bit better. So thank you guys. Have a great day. Please hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and you'll be notified each and every time I go live. If you do like the content on this Baby Lock, the way that I do the maintenance, please let me know. She's a dream machine. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.